Hey everyone, my name is Adam Wiseman, and I'm the Instructional Technology Facilitator for McDowell County Schools. Today I'm going to show you how to create an express test using SchoolNet. And how you get to SchoolNet is through your PowerSchool login, similar to what you see on my screen. Over on your left-hand side, you'll click on SchoolNet, and this will take you to your home page of SchoolNet. So on your home page, we're going to click Assessment Admin, and we're going to click Create. And what we're going to do is create an express test. An express test is just a quick way for you to create an assessment. You don't have to create the questions. You choose from the ones in the item bank. So we're going to click Start Now. You will give this test a name. So we'll just do something real quick. We'll call this Math Test. What you would do is create a more specific test name so that you can find this later. We'll choose a subject, fill out the grade. Now if you teach more than one grade level, it'll only let you choose items from one grade level only. But that should not really affect too many of you since you teach specific subjects and not grade levels. Test category, I'll leave that as my classroom. Unanswered questions, you can choose to include those in the score or exclude them from the actual score. Score type, also preferred standards document. This is very important that you choose the correct one here. So since we're doing a mathematics test, we will choose Common Core State Standards. You can choose to only do an answer key only. I'm going to leave that as no. You have some other initial settings here that are pretty self-explanatory. One feature that I like is it does let you have students to comment on either each question or at the end of the test. This might be pretty beneficial if you want students to explain where they got their answer from. So that might be a beneficial setting for you to choose. So I'm going to check comment on each item. And then I'm going to click Select Standards. So from here, this does show us how many available items are in the item bank for each of these content areas or objectives. So if I'm an algebra teacher, I'm going to look here. So I'm going to drill down by clicking the plus sign. Here's the specific standards. So let's say we're working on creating equations. There's 262 items in the item bank, so I'm going to drill that down a little farther. So it drilled down to another standard, and now I can get more specific. So if I want to choose that we're working on creating equations and inequalities with one variable, I'm going to go and choose that. There are 68 items within this particular standard that this focuses on. You can add more standards to this by checking the appropriate boxes. And so I'm going to click Add to Test Map. Now I can choose to have a 68 item quiz, or if I only want this to choose, let's say we only want to choose 10 of these questions. I type in the number of items that I want this test to have, and then I'm going to click Build Express Test. You can delete items once you review them. You can also change them and add different ones. So I'm going to click Build Express Test. So this lets me review all the questions that it has selected for me. If I want to change the wording of a question, I click Actions and Edit, and I can edit the question. I can also remove it. I can also change it to and put another one from the item bank within it. I can remove it from the test. You also have over here on the left, you can preview this, what it looks like. So this is the screen the students would see after they log in, and they will log in through their PowerSchool login. And so when they click Start Test, here's sort of what it'll look like. They can eliminate the choices by clicking Hide, so it kind of helps them, sort of like similar to what their EOCs are like if they're online. They can also flag a question and come back to it later. That's sort of what the student view looks like. So if we're ready to schedule this test, I'm going to click Ready to Schedule. You can also print out a student test booklet, so you can print out this quiz as a printout. You can also just print out the answer key. You can also make a copy of this test. So when we're ready to schedule, that means we're ready to schedule this test for students to take. So I'm going to click Ready to Schedule. Pops up, are you sure you want to schedule this test? Because once you schedule it, you can't go back and edit it. The only way that you can edit this is if you create a copy of the test and go back and edit that part. So I'm going to click OK. And then once again, I have to schedule, hit the schedule button again. So the ready to schedule button is changed to schedule. So when I click schedule, it takes me to a different screen. I can put the date, the end date of the test, and then a score due date. Now, since I don't have access to Gradebook, yours probably looks different than mine. Yours will probably have a checkbox here that says create grade within PowerSchool or Gradebook, or score within Gradebook. And that's one thing about SchoolNet that's very helpful, that it will actually record the grade and the assignment within your Gradebook and actually score it for you. So if it's one of the scoreable items. The online test, you have to have a passcode, the students do. You can change this and customize it to whatever you want it to be. And that's what you give the students. We are working on a way for our test to be more secure on the Chromebooks, and where students can log in under a test login, and then they will not be able to click on any other tab but the SchoolNet tab. So I'll be sharing that information with you at a later date. You do have some other choices here. Scramble question order. I would highly not recommend that if you're doing an English language arts test with reading passages, because it will mix up the question order and the questions won't match the passages. And so we're ready to schedule, so we can click save, and then that way the students will have access to their test. So that's how you create an express test within SchoolNet. If you do have any questions about this, come see either myself or Melanie Shaver, and we'll be happy to help you further with how to schedule an express test. Okay, our second part of creating an assessment, you can also create a manual assessment. That means you can come up with your own questions. And to do that, you go back to assessment, and then you'll click create. And then you'll click start now for create a test manually. Same with as a express test, you'll need to put the test name, the subject. So we'll just do a test name, choose subject. We'll do social studies and history. You can choose grade level or grade level range. And this is different than what was on the express test. You can tell how many items you want to be on this test. So we'll just say 5 items here. I'm not going to check all multiple choice because I want a mix of different kinds of questions. Preferred standards document. We need to make sure that we choose the correct standards document. And you also have this same kinds of options here that you can choose as well. Once you've chosen, we're going to click Generate Test. And this is the testing detail, or the editing test questions page. So we can see our test is made up of 5 questions. We can add more items if needed. We are also on question 1, and we're editing this question because it's got the pencil on a piece of paper. So we've got several choices here of kinds of questions we can make. Multiple choice, true, false, gridded response, open response, inline response, that's multiple, or that is fill in the blank kind of question. Matching, hotspot single, and hotspot multiple. These are really cool question types because you can have an image, a clickable image, where you set up regions of that image that are the actual answer. Drag and drop. We have click, stick, click and drop. And then we can also look up items in the item bank as well to add to our test. So once you have your test created, you'll have a similar screen that was like the express test. Now this is telling me I have a bunch of errors here because with each question that you create, you have to add a standard and align it to a standard because it will not let you schedule this test until it is aligned to a standard. So it's very important that you align your questions accordingly to whatever standard or standards that they meet. You also have to tell how many points that the question is worth. Okay, so as with the express test, the manual test, you can print out a copy of this. You can preview it. You can also just print out the answer key. And once you're ready to schedule, it won't let you schedule it until all these errors are fixed. Okay, so that's one neat thing about this is it really prompts you when you have some mistakes that need to be fixed. Okay, so that is how you create a manual test in SchoolNet. One other thing that you can do is you can just find an actual item or passage and then create question-specific items. Also, if you search in the instructional materials part, if you find a lesson plan or a unit, there's a choice there that you can do to create an express test with that lesson plan. So it does align that test to all the standards that are addressed within the lesson plan or unit. So SchoolNet does have a lot of possibilities for you to think about in the future. So that is SchoolNet. And once again, if you have questions or you need some extra help with this, you can come see me or you can see Melanie Shaver.